Hey there everybody, Eric from OUTER LIMITLESS coming at you today with another video. Now, Lumary products are products that I use literally every day, from my outdoor lighting needs to my indoor lighting needs, and in this particular case, my studio lighting needs. I've been lighting my videos on my channel now with Lumary products for over a couple of years. So I've definitely come to know them. I definitely know the pros and cons, what works, what doesn't work, and how to leverage them to my advantage. That's exactly what we're gonna do here today. With the Lumary Smart Recessed Light Pro, I have two 4-packs here. I have 8 lights in the studio, so 2 4-packs. I'm gonna go through this in detail. We're gonna change out the lights in my studio, kind of bring a little bit of a different kick, a little bit of a different flair, a little bit of a different ambiance. But to me, these lights are going to be an improvement over the existing ones that I have in here. Now, to start this entire video, I'm gonna say Lumary has been making steady progress continuously since I've known about them. They've taken feedback, they've listened to their customers, they've listened to me as a reviewer, and they've made changes the entire time to improve their products. So right away, you gotta give them props for that. The next thing that they've done, and they've done very well, they've been steadily making improvements to their user interface in the app. Most of the lights that you see here are literally strategically supported and controlled by an application on your smartphone. You're not going to the wall and dimming things up and down. You're going into the app and making the changes. So it needs to be convenient. It needs to be easy. It has to have the functionality that you're looking for, and Lumary has absolutely been doing that. And so before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Lumary who did provide these for review. And as you take a look here, these are the 6-inch version, 13 watt. Again, this is a 4-pack, 1000 lumens of overall brightness. These are a fairly thin bezel. Some of them are thicker. You'll see that when we get into this, but it's the mounting hardware that I really like. And keep in mind the fact that these are going to be for customers who are looking to retrofit existing can installs. These are not the small wafer lights. These are retrofit lights for a can application. Now, as we take a look, you can see again, app dimming, 16 million colors. These work through the app. You can do all kinds of different things. You can sync these up with music. They have voice control. There's a whole bunch of different types of things that you can do if you want to get sophisticated. Full RGB and then different white balanced coloring. So very nice in that regard. Very easy to install, at least I'm going to hope so. And that's one of the biggest differences between this particular set of lights and the lights I've looked at in the past. I've kind of complained a little bit about some of the prior models and my inability to get them to sit well. I'm hoping that these are going to be easy clips to install into my cans. Removing the lights here, you can see again, this is a 4-pack, thin profile, reasonable bevel, the 6-inch version. Not too deep, but deep enough, I like that. And these are, again, just a little bit shallow, which is not a bad thing. So plenty of room up inside the cans. And then you thread this adapter into the bulb. So that's where these come into play. Very simple retrofit design. Not only do you get the 4 lights themselves, you get your clips, which we will install, and then your user's manual. These clips are insanely easy to install. You literally just take them and press them into place. They go right down. You cannot mess this up. So literally just pressing those down and into place. I am hoping that these hold nice and tight as we get these installed into the ceiling. One last thing worth noting, these do have a gasket, which is nice. That's a little more important in maybe areas where you're trying to keep heat from your main living area from escaping up and into the ceiling. For me, that's not really too big of an issue in this particular location, but it's nice that they have these. Now, one of the key points with the existing Lumary lights that I have, the way you install them is completely different. And you can see at this point, they're basically falling out in a number of locations. That really bummed me out and kind of bothered me about these. Now, they're cool lights and they're really interesting, but you can see these are literally falling out. And so I do need to get to the point where they sit a lot more flush. Even this one here is falling out. And as we look at the mechanism, you can see they were having a bit of a communication problem. That mechanism that holds these in literally damaging my ceiling tiles. And as we were speaking right now, I'm like blowing it to pieces. I do not like these at all. I find these to be like virtually useless. They don't do a good job grabbing. It took me an hour to install 8 lights and even get these to remotely grab. They've been falling out for weeks on end and just driving me crazy. Even though these are the retrofit lights, they're very difficult. The other thing I'm going to point out is these have an LED ring around the outside that lights up. And with the current version that we're going to install today, you're going to see it's a little bit different. Now, just real quick, showing you the difference between these two lights. The ability to install this up into the can requires you to take the light, shove it up into the can, and then you have to like twist it and get these ears to kind of bind in, and they might or might not grab. And even at that, there's no wiggle or flexibility, so when you go to take them out, it can be difficult, and then they snap and tend to damage your tiles, at least in my case. If you had a plaster ceiling, it could potentially crack the plaster. I just don't like that mechanism, but instead, these are just so easy, and where they're retrofit lights that go in cans anyway, these clips, you literally just squeeze them, and then when you look at the can itself, there's some very simple tabs that these slide up and inside. They grab on, and then when you release them, the spring pressure just pulls the light itself super tight up and into the can, and it just has literally the perfect fit. So these, in my opinion, are absolutely superior. So getting into the installation here, literally just threading these in, probably gonna slip up into place with ease, at least I hope so. These should just very easily go up into place, and then the light should just seat itself, tucking the wires in there. And yeah, like very simple. Again, very easy, literally a mere matter of minutes. Unlike the other ones, which took way too much effort, this is simple. These clips go right inside, hook on easily, tucking the wire. And that's a very flush fit. And so with those up and into place, the next thing is to turn on the power, but you also need to load the app. So as you take a look, loading the Lumary app, you can see that the app does have all the other products that I've used in the past, some of which I still have installed. A couple of these products I now need to uninstall, very straightforward. And then in terms of getting the new lights up and operational, now that they're installed up into the ceiling, I'm going to turn the power on. You'll notice that those lights come on and then they start to flash, meaning they're ready to pair. I'm going to hit the plus button in the top corner of the app. At this point, as long as I'm on my Wi-Fi, it should be able to add a device, and it's going to add those devices onto the Wi-Fi that my phone's connected to. So if you have more than one Wi-Fi, pay attention. You'll want to get that right. If everything goes well, it should easily detect the lights, and at that point you'll see they start to change color. They're getting added to my system, added to the app, and they will give me the ability to connect to them and control them very easily. And now with that, I have both lights added. And at this point, I took about 5 minutes, uninstalled the old lights. The new ones went in super fast, paired them up, and a couple of things to keep in mind. First off, you have to have a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. That's how these lights connect. And second is, if you struggle with pairing one of the sets, you're kind of best off if they're on separate circuits to do them individually. Bring each circuit online. But if you struggle with it, toggle it off, on. Then they'll go back to the pairing mode. So there are a couple of little tricks. You just have to read the user's manual and get the hang of it. But clearly you can see these lights are a terrible color, but at least at this point, I have individual control over each one of the lights, coming online as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can see here as I turn on 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now all online. And so it took a little bit of fussing just to reestablish the lights. Basically, I had to take one of the sets, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, get them back to that pairing mode, and then add them to the system again. At this point, I should have individual control of every single light if things are going well. So, quick test there, turning them all back on. Number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, 7, and 8. So at this point, everything is established. Again, just took a little bit. You need to be a little bit patient with these lights. Sometimes keep in mind the fact that you're trying to pair these with your system, pair them with your Wi-Fi, and sometimes there is a little bit of connectivity problems. Just be patient. Again, remember, you can reset the lights and get them back into the pairing mode if they're not connecting properly. But at this point, I am able to change the overall function. And just taking light number 1, for example, and getting into the programming mode, these do have auxiliary lights. So you can see real quick, if I take the auxiliary light and I turn it to red, for example, I can turn off the main light and it leaves me with just a little hint of red behind. Going into light number 2, it's going to be the exact same thing. I can add the red, turn off the main light, and then again, just that little subtle hue, which is kind of neat if you want to accent the room, if you want to just leave it as kind of a night light. Now, the difference between these lights and the prior version did allow you to run both the auxiliary lights and the primary lights at the same time. But as we work through the different colors, you can see I have the ability to change the color, red, blue, green, yellow, doesn't matter. You can change it up however you would like if you want to accent. And the other thing that's nice is you can take all of these lights and add them to a group. Now I can tell you, unfortunately, I am having connectivity problems in general. Now that's not always the case with Lumary products, but these are being just a little bit difficult as I'm trying to get these to go back into the primary light mode. You can see I do have the ability to toggle the brightness, but it's not changing on the lights themselves. And so it is very misfortunate because so far everything about these have been about perfect. Now, all in all, I want to like these lights, but they've been a little bit difficult for me. I mean, as you can see here, I have a number of them going at this time. I have 4 of them in the back as kind of like a warmer color. I have the 4 in the front, a little bit more neutral for my filming needs. And, the ones in the back are lights 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I've kind of rebooted a couple times. Now they're considered 9, 10, 11, and 12. So 12, 11, here's 10, 9. Now everything works real well until I try to introduce the auxiliary light, which this one seems to work. Here, this one seems to work. Number 10, this one seems to work. And number 9, hello? Okay, this one seems to work. But these are definitely a little bit glitchy, so I'm kind of working through it. It's been a couple of weeks. I've been giving it some time. I've been practicing, getting everything established. I mean, from a studio perspective and even light, I feel like from my filming perspective, this actually looks really good. Got a little bit of that warmth behind me, nice and neutral up front. It's doing what it needs to do. These lights are just a little bit finicky. They're getting there. Lumary's been dancing for a while. They've been so close to getting it perfect. These lights are, in many ways, the best yet. I just wish they would communicate completely every single time without any glitchiness. Now, I'm at a place where I've kind of hit that status quo. Everything's working. They're dialed in the way I want them. They look real good. I kind of get to this point and then I set them and forget them. Do you want the ability to mess with the lights and dim them up and down, change the scenes, change the color? Yeah, of course you do. But unfortunately, sometimes it just gets a little bit glitchy. So can I recommend these? It's on the edge. I would still say yes. You just need to kind of work through the nuances and be a little bit patient. It's going to be a little bit frustrating, but it definitely works itself out in the end. You just need to kind of get to the point where everything's communicating, all synced on the Wi-Fi, working appropriately with your app, and behaving the way you expect. But all in all, these are the Lumary Recessed Smart Light Pro. Definitely trending in the right direction. To the people at Lumary, thank you for providing these for review. If you guys like what you see here, look in the description box below for all the relevant links. And if you like this content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel's growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.